So, what if your most powerful habits this year didn't come from a planner, but from the elements? Today, Rich Lyons is back, author of Life in Sales, entrepreneur and leader who recently stepped out of the boardroom and into a sacred ceremony, here to talk to us about what he learned. What he threw away, what he burned, what blew away, and what he's taking into this year. And he's going to teach you about the elements and how to do the same thing. So good to have you back. I'm a little bit jealous. I'm not going to lie that you're in Mexico and I'm in Winnipeg and it's minus 100 here and it's so beautiful there. But I'm happy for you. How are you doing?
I'm great. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I hope you find some warmth through your connections with people, even though the outside weather is so cold.
Yeah, for sure. We were just talking about that before we hit record and how important that is. And yesterday was the first day back for me in like routine and like back to work. And I'm not gonna lie, I felt really messed up. Like, does that happen to you over the holidays? Like you stop working for a chunk of time and then when you have to get back to it, you just feel out of sorts.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely I think it's part of the seasonality too, and part of the new year and part of winter and everything, but it definitely feels kind of like you said, out of sorts. Like, how do I get back into, maybe it's good not to get back into the same routines, right? Because I think we probably all want to get rid of some routines, but some routines like, sleep and exercise and good eating, like, we want to keep. So I do think the new year gives us all an opportunity to assess and really evaluate. And I think sometimes that slowing down gives us a chance to look at what did we really like about last year and what do we want to change?
Yeah, which leads us to your ceremony. So you're in Mexico, and before we dive into the habits and what you learned, can you briefly describe what led you to this? What's it called? Temescal
Temescal.
Temescal
Yeah,
experience?
Temescal. So I mean, we've been coming down to Mexico for a number of years, and I think the Temescal is kind of a sacred, um, you know, traditional spiritual, ceremony where you have a shaman, and we've done it many times with different shamans. But a Temescal is kind of a sweat lodge, is another name for it. Native Americans did it. They do it a lot here in Mexico as well. So a sweat lodge takes many forms, but down here, the one that we usually go to and the one we have, it kind of, I don't know, it looks almost like an igloo, right? Because you're gonna crawl into it. There's a pit in the middle where you put very hot stones. So there's a big fire outside, all aligned with the sun. You build a big fire, and so there's preparation that goes in because you need to heat the stones up. And then you have a shaman come, and you kind of do blessings. You ask your ancestors to come with you and guide you. You bless the sun, the moon, the earth. You bless the four directions, north, south, east, west. You kind of smudge. I don't know if you've ever done smudging, where
Mhm.
you have incense, or they use copal down here that creates the smoke and you get cleansed before you even go in to the Temescal, before you even start the ceremony. So there's a lot of ritual, I think, even before. And then you literally crawl in. You have permission and then crawl in and you sit, and it's dark. The stones are brought in. The shaman then will do sometimes singing, chanting. You'll sing along, you'll chant. There'll be some sharing. Putting water on these hot stones that creates a lot of heat, a lot of steam, but they shut the door. So you crawl in and then they shut it and kick it closed, and there's a blanket, so it's dark. I mean,
Right.
sometimes it's dark, like you can't hardly see your hand. I mean, there's some light, but sometimes I've been in the more, it's really dark. So your senses, I think, because you can't see, all of your senses are kind of increased. And I've been in super hot ones, not so hot ones, but I think what it does, and I think what a new year has an opportunity to do for all of us is put ourselves up against ourselves
Right.
and look at our own resistance. So, In this case, the resistance is heat, it's
Mm.
sweating, it's discomfort, because it's not, even if you like heat, I mean, it's hot, right? And so can you then use it? And the shaman, they talk about doing four doors and basically, they close the door and then they open the door and bring in more hot rocks and then they close the door. So you kind of are going through four sessions of getting hotter and hotter rocks. But then you're doing the four, elements and focusing on, earth, air, fire, water.
So how do they heat the rocks?
Well, the rocks are hot because they're in the fire. So, I mean, there's a big
Oh,
bonfire. There's outside, there's a bonfire
okay.
with
Now that makes
with
sense.
logs. And so the logs are heating up the stones. So
Mm.
he uses a pitchfork literally, and he's sliding in these stones to the middle, and they're glowing red hot.
Oh my
And it's
God.
dark. It's dark, so they are glowing.
Yeah,
And then you
beautiful.
throw, the shaman's throwing water on them, and so they're sparking, steaming. I mean, even the visual aspect of that is beautiful.
Yeah. So when you walked into the ceremony or crawled in,
You literally crawl in.
What were you expecting to release or hoping to gain, or do you go in without expectation? And then I'd love to get into the four elements.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to bring intention every time that you do one, and I think given that it was the new year and we're thinking about the new year, I mean, I think it's even more impactful maybe, and the elements then and the shaman kind of guide you through, and they're asking questions, they're bringing things up, they're singing, they're chanting, which gives you this kind of full experience. And then there's some sharing too, and you don't have to share, but I think sometimes other people, you sharing and other people sharing, can also, I'm in there with my wife, and this one I did with my daughter and her boyfriend, so it's people you know and love, so it can be very emotional as well, as you're sharing about, your fears and your year and what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into the four elements then.
Sure.
They bring in the four elements. So fire. So what is fire about? And what did it represent for you in the ceremony? And how are you relating it to the new year?
Yeah, so I think, fire is probably the easiest one. And I think people do a lot of different ceremonies where they'll write things on a piece of paper and burn them in the fire on different ceremonies. But this one, obviously there is fire. Obviously it's hot, and so that is going on. You're sweating, you're feeling the heat. As she is putting water on, you feel the heat come up and down your back. I mean, it's hot in there, right? Because it's a curved surface, and so it's kind of like a convection oven, kind of, that you're inside of. But when you think of fire, she's kind of prompting and saying, what do you want to release? Like, what do you want to put in the fire from your last year to let go, to get rid of. And that, I guess, in some cases, that could be a good thing or a bad thing if you think about sometimes we're holding on to good things so we can't create other good things. But there's
Yeah.
also, are there habits, are there things that you want to release and have burn away into the new year? So for me, in this particular instance, like I was looking at worrying. Like I think there's times where, and I'll make the distinction fear versus worrying. Like, and we all have fear. I have fear, we're afraid of things, but I think where it changes to worry is if I'm kind of obsessing about it, if I'm continuing to think about something versus, hey, I have a fear. Is it a real fear that I need to address? Is it an imagined fear that I can let go? Am I over traumatizing it or going to catastrophic thinking? And then just make that decision. I'm either going to do something and take action, or I'm not, and I'm going to release it and let it go. Then I'm not worrying, right? So I was just thinking about this, if I could release that into the fire, for my new year. So I'm not I think it's wasting energy to continue to think about things, or sometimes it impacts my sleep, right? Like something's in my mind and my mind's going, my mind is, I think, sometimes too active. And then I'll wake up early because I'm thinking about something instead of being able to be at peace. and choosing to kind of trust and have faith that things are going to work out.
Yeah, I love how you talked about the positive things that we hold on to as well. Because sometimes we're like, oh, this makes us feel good, so I'm not going to let it go. But sometimes you have to add in different things or change it up, and then you actually feel better. So it's really good to look at both the positive and negative things in our lives that we're holding on to. And
Yeah.
worry is a big one. I feel like worrying keeps us out of the present moment. It's like it keeps us stuck in the past or worried about the future, and then we're not grounded in the present moment. So that's a powerful one.
I think that's
I feel like
exactly
as
right.
entrepreneurs, we carry these habits that helped us, but now sometimes hold us back. So what did you what did you learn from that? And what would you say to entrepreneurs out there that are maybe a little too rigid?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is important, when you're holding on to things and I mean, think about it as an entrepreneur, like you find something that's very successful, and so you're just going to keep doing the same thing. And we always try to, in my company, and I write about it in the book, in Life of Sales, we talk about being a learning organization, meaning Peter Senge talks about this, our only competitive advantage is our ability to learn and grow faster than our competition. So learn and grow means change. Learn and grow doesn't mean stasis. It doesn't mean we're just going to stay the same. We know what we're doing. We're going to keep doing the same thing. Think about us as entrepreneurs. How do we continue to look for what's the next thing? Where's a window of opportunity? If I don't take that window, it closes, right? And that doesn't mean staying the same. So there's discomfort in this change in learning and growing and really assessing ourselves. Like every year we did the traditional SWOTs, right? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. We'd go through this process and look at what do we need to change?
Mhm.
Because if we're not changing, people are going to pass us up 100%, right? So I think it's important, and that's taking risks, right? Because you know what works, but sometimes you have to step into something new and take
Mhm.
that risk.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about Earth. What does Earth represent?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a very spiritual context. So we're talking a lot about Mother Earth and Earth that is supporting us and Earth that is in everything. Like you're never connected to the Earth, even if you're in a building that's made of Earth. I mean, it's made of things from Earth, whether it's wood or concrete or dirt. I mean, we're always being supported kind of by Mother Earth. So looking at, from that perspective, how are we feeling? And you were mentioning it like being in the present, how worrying takes us out of the present. Is there a time where we can feel the support that is there with us all the time, whether that's friends, family, everything, but the grounding, so that
Mm.
concept that the earth is there, but we forget,
Mhm.
right? Our friends are there. We have support. So like going into a new year and even assessing our old year, like I'm not a very good person about reaching out. When you
Mm.
tell people are always like, oh, when and I say to people all the time, like, call me anytime, like reach out. Well, I'm not good at it either. And so I
Yeah.
think that's why I have structured meetings. You know what I mean? Like we have leadership groups that I lead that meet every 3 weeks for 2 hours. So you have to show up, so it's kind of a forced support structure on you because I think not many of us are able to, or trustworthy. Like I'm totally stressed out. I'm going to call someone. It's easier to call someone when you're not stressed out. So
Yeah.
do we have the structures in place to make sure we are getting support? And and I think Earth is a great example of that because we're not always thinking like, hey, maybe I should go put my feet on the lawn there.
Yeah.
Just feel the grass and feel the connection, right? I'm here in Mexico, you're in Canada, we're stepping on the same earth.
Mhm. I've got winter boots on though, my friend. I'm jealous of your bare feet in the sand. That is so therapeutic. It's interesting that you talk about that because it was something that I just talked about myself on Facebook. I did a live on having so many people in my life, but still not feeling supported because of my own walls. And that I would go to bed at night and I would feel alone, even though I had a partner at the time. And it wasn't their fault. They wanted to support me, but I wasn't letting them in. So I felt so unstable because I'm like holding on to all this on my own and not letting people in. And one of my goals this year is to let more people in and to accept more. It's like being open to receiving and that I'm worthy of it. Because there's been so many times I've been completely lost. I am holding my phone and I'm about to dial someone's number and I don't do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to bother them or whatever. Yet the same thing, I'll tell people to contact me if they're not doing okay. Why do we do that?
I don't know. I mean, we almost have to build the muscle to be reaching
Yeah.
out. And that's why I think sometimes if we have structured meetings or structured calls, then it forces us to do it because it's hard to do in the moment. And I agree with you too, like just being open to receive can be a very challenging thing. Like it's easier for me to give someone um compliment and but then when they give me something back, I'm like, no, no, no. You know, that kind of push back or brush, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal. Oh, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Or
Versus
this old
it's
thing
hard
that
just to
I'm
be,
wearing. Yeah.
yeah, but it's hard just to be like,
Thank you.
thank you. Right. And just kind of almost like you almost have to pat it in, like, oh, that really feels good. Let me just be with that for one moment instead of trying to push it off.
Or to give right away, like, oh, someone compliments you on your shirt, then you're like, oh, I really like your shirt too. And it's not authentic because it's
Just
like
give
a
it away.
generous,
Yeah. Well, and I
yeah,
don't think it feels good to the person who's giving you a compliment either,
yeah.
because you're just brushing it off. Yeah.
So, what daily practices help you stay rooted? And did you come up with a few when you were in this extremely hot igloo-like structure in your ceremony?
Yeah, no, I think, for me, breath is, and I guess we'll get to air here in a second. But breath and just slowing down for a second, like I'm kind of historically, I guess, I got to do something. I'm on the move. I'm moving. I'm moving. I'm moving. And just like being can be a hard thing. And I think for me, sometimes breath helps that, like just like take a breath,
Hmm.
calm myself down a little bit and get back connected. It's not that hard. And it doesn't take a lot of time. But I think that connection, that we're all connected, but that I can connect into myself and I meditate as well, so sometimes meditation, even if it's short, and I do more mantra meditation, can be helpful just to kind of bring myself back, like back to the breath, back to the mantra, because my mind's going, going. So slow it down, right? And I think the new year, especially with winter, is a good time to kind of slow it down a little bit. It's meant to be in the season, right? To kind of hibernate a little bit. And we need to work and we need to get stuff done, but we don't need to be manic, I guess.
Hmm. It's interesting that you say that because I was having a conversation with a different entrepreneur, and she was saying how winter is about hibernating and resting, yet we're in this culture that's pushing us to produce and overachieve, and it feels so disconnected. And then we start beating ourselves up that we don't have the motivation or the energy, yet
Right.
the earth is literally, the seasons are literally directing how we're
Telling us.
feeling, and we're trying to resist it.
Yeah. It's kind of, I mean, we have this calendar year and it's kind of a little off because we expect January, we're setting goals and we're supposed to go, but it's really winter. I mean, it
Yeah, it
should be
should be
spring.
summer in
Like
January.
yeah, or a start of our year should be spring when everything's coming up and coming alive, and
Yes.
the seeds we planted are coming up. Like that's go time. Like right now we're kind of in we harvest, let's dream, which I guess is good for January, February, March. Like, but we've harvest in the fall, but now we're dreaming into our year. We're dreaming into what we want to accomplish this year, and then we're ready for the new shoots to come up in the spring and hit it, right? All the way through
Yeah.
summer. But
Yeah.
you're right. We don't usually have the opportunity where, hey, we're going to take 3 months off and just
Yeah.
dream about things.
Yeah, it feels so weird. So then let's
Yeah.
get into air. So what is air about?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Like she had talked about, which I hadn't heard this kind of analogy before. Like, what do you want the wind to blow into your life?
Okay, so the shaman was directing. So air in the context of blowing in, providing
Yeah,
clarity, receiving. Okay.
absolutely. So it was a different perspective. Like fire, what do you want to get rid of? Air, what do you want to blow into your life? So which is an interesting thing. And obviously we need intention and we need to intend something, but what could I see blowing into my life? And it was interesting that, you're in the dark, you're, chanting, singing, there's a lot of things going on. And what came up for me personally was I saw a lot of new relationships and new opportunities blowing into my life. And I'm not sure how that will manifest. Like, I guess we'll see how it will manifest, but that's what came up for me, like that the wind was going to blow in, some new opportunities and some new relationships for me, which was actually very exciting for me, to see what was going to blow in and will give me a chance to, kind of see over this year, like what things have blown in to my life, when I get to the end of the year, this year to look back and say, wow, what blew into my life and what did I
Yeah,
create?
that's exciting. So when you've got those, I guess, images of these opportunities coming in, how important do you think that awareness plays in the habits that we start creating for the year to support our success? Like, did that give you like a motivation and a
It did.
clarity or
I mean, for me, it did give me kind of a motivation and a clarity to start thinking about um, maybe not doing the same things like we were just talking about, like not doing the same things over and over. Like maybe there's some new opportunities that are going to blow in. So let's not stay focused on the same things I've been doing. Maybe there's some new things. Maybe there needs to be some change. Maybe some new relationships are going to blow into my life as well. So it did make me absolutely feel open to that. Like, okay, I know what I am doing now, but maybe there's some new things that I'm not thinking about, I haven't thought about before, or to be on the lookout for some of these new opportunities that come in. So I think that was an exciting thing because it wasn't something that I expected, so to
mm,
speak. Like I wasn't expecting that. And that was this kind of a new thing, like, oh, very interesting. And I'm kind of excited, like you're saying, to see, okay, what new things, what new relationships, what new opportunities are going to kind of come my way, but I need to be open to it and I need to be kind of
yeah.
looking for
Do you think most entrepreneurs are really fluid in that way? Because I know for me, I need new things. Otherwise, I get really bored really quickly. It's like I find
it.
something and I'm like, yeah, I'll try it for a little while, but then I'm like, I need something else to come in. So, what kind of role do you think reflection plays in growth, especially for high performers?
Oh, I think it's super important. I mean, I think, this time of year gives us an opportunity. We used to do it quarterly, like we would do quarterly reviews in our company, which it puts a lot of stress on the managers and things, but I thought it was critical. Like,
Mm,
how can you wait a whole year to get
yeah,
feedback on your job? Like, really? Like, you're going to wait a whole year? I mean,
yeah,
quarterly, that's 3 months. It's still a long time, but to look at what have you accomplished? What goals did we set? Did we do it? Did we not? How do we need to adjust? And then where are you going for the next 3 months? And we would always wrap it around obviously the goals of the company, but then also the individual goals. So we were
mm,
all about one of our big goals was, to be customer focused. So we would always talk about focusing on the customer, putting ourselves in their shoes, helping them achieve their goals. But then at the same time, how are you achieving your goals? We're
mm,
helping them maximize their potential online, like we were in the e-commerce space, but how are you maximizing your potential along with it? So this mutuality, it's not an either or, like we were very much in both and. Like we're helping our customers, but we need to be growing as well, right?
oh
And
yeah.
so how can we do both? And I think
They
that,
come
like to
they
your
come
point,
together for sure.
yeah,
If I'm optimized, feeling great, I'm going to perform so much better than if I'm unsupported and I'm doing everything on my own and I feel like
right.
crap.
No, it's a huge thing. I mean, we had this one team was kind of one of our big principles. Like going to be one team with our customer. So we wanted to be an extension of their team, right? We weren't just trying to be a vendor. We wanted to be an extension of their team and come and help them be successful, do the right thing. But then internally, we needed to be one team as well. Because
Hmm.
sometimes you can get siloed, like you have here's creative over here, here's marketing over here, here's sales, here's delivery. Everyone's kind of doing their own little thing. We couldn't afford to be that way. We had to come together to deliver the best for our customer, but also come together just because it felt better. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To be one team, like everyone wants to be a part of a team. You don't want to be off doing things by yourself. So it was really
Hmm.
critical for us.
Yeah, for sure. So what about water? So to me, water is like flow, emotion, integration, kind of what we talked about, being flowy. What did it symbolize in this ceremony and what did it teach you? What came up for you?
Yeah, it's interesting. Exactly those things that you said. And plus, you're in there sweating. So if you think about water, I mean, you are sweating, but also
You're
think
like,
about our
there's a
bodies are
pail of water coming out of me right now.
a pail. It feels like a
Are you a
pail. There's
sweater?
no
Are you someone
question.
that sweats a lot or a little bit?
Oh, I sweat a lot. I mean, I sweat a
So are you
lot.
one
I
of those
run
that like
hot.
drips off your fingertips?
Oh yeah. No, I mean it's dripping off my fingertips. I mean, I'm soaking wet. I'm for sure. And
Sometimes
especially
I'm
through these
fascinated
four
by
doors.
that. I'm in hot yoga and I'm like, how is someone sweating so much?
Oh my God, I am for sure sweating. And I think the interesting thing too is like our bodies are what 90 what percent water?
Yeah,
Like we're made of water, right? So I mean,
yeah.
it's interesting that when she's talking about water, she's talking. I mean, the Earth is mostly water. Like I'm looking out at Pacific Ocean right now. We're mostly water. So there is all those things you said. Like, are we fighting? Like if you think of a river, are we holding on to a rock and trying to fight the river and swim upstream, or are we in the flow?
Mhm.
Right? Because otherwise you get battered by rock. And sometimes I think you need to fight and you need to learn lessons. But think about if you're going down rapids, you're going to get battered. Can we? I would love to be able to say that I flow. I'm in the flow. I'm using the flow. I'm using the energy versus fighting against it and trying to swim upstream and getting battered by these rocks. And I think the other thing about water is, I mean, think of the womb, like we're all kind of come from water. We're born, we're in water. We're born, from a mother. And can we feel the nurturing aspect of that? You mentioned emotions. Like, are we flowing in our emotions? Can we feel nurtured and not hold emotions? Like, if you think fear, hurt, anger, sadness, joy, not hold them as bad things. They just are, right? And
Yeah.
it's just part of life. Let's not put a judgment on, oh, that's a good feeling, that's a bad feeling. Because hurt, can be very cathartic. Just to feel
Uh-huh.
like you hurt my feelings, I'm alive. I don't need to strike back. I don't need to react, but just to feel the hurt and acknowledge it, right? That we're all human beings. And can we kind of be in that flow of life, right? Feel surrounded by water, feel encompassed, and feel almost like a warm bath, right? Where you can just feel like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, water also represents like cleansing, right? Like at the end of your
Yeah,
day, if you have a shower, it kind of feels like you're washing off the day. You start your day with a
totally.
shower, you're washing off the night kind of thing.
Well, with
Um,
so much sweat, like with this specifically, when you come out, like the rest of the day, I feel so light. I feel so clean. I mean, because it feels like you've sweated out all your toxins. And the
yeah,
shaman will
there's
say, like,
nothing else
don't
left.
go. Yeah, no, but the shaman will also say, like, be gentle, but like stay out of air conditioning. Just because you're in a sensitive state, you've just kind of opened up all of your pores and opened things up. So how do you kind of protect, that sacred space that you've worked hard to get to, right?
Yeah. So entrepreneurs are taught to push through, like we talked about. I remember when I was working in an office and someone would cry, it was like taboo. Like people would avoid them and then they'd be sent home. And, it was like this thing and you had to hide it and it felt awkward. I just had a friend apologize to me for getting emotional at dinner, and I was like, why are you apologizing? I think it's beautiful. How can we flip the script? How can we make this more normal?
I mean, it's so hard. I mean, I'm a crier. I mean, and even in front of my company, like every year in January, we would bring everyone into Chicago. Even when we got to be, over 400 people, we still brought everyone in based on what you and I were talking about before, like the importance of being face to face with people and seeing
Mm,
them and hugging them and touching them. I mean, but we bring everyone into Chicago, and every year, like when I would stand up there, from when we were 50 people to when we were 500 people, and seeing everyone in the room was very emotional for me. And so I
no.
would cry, right? And I would have to get over all my own judgments. Like you're saying, like
Yeah,
it's
how did that
weak.
feel? How did that feel crying in front of 500 people?
I mean, over time, and I would say over time, and as I, did my own personal work and got more on my own side and integrated kind of that sensitivity, it felt great because it mattered.
Hmm.
Right. I was deeply moved because it's kind of like I've created this family of people. It's a business, but I feel like I created a family. I created people that I loved. I created people I loved being with. And it was overwhelming for me to see everyone in the same place
Yeah.
and to acknowledge, together everything we accomplished. And I think it took me as a man a long time to get back to that because as a boy, I was very sensitive. I loved to write. I wrote poetry, and I was kind of a mama's boy, and so there was a point in my life where I decided I can't be like that anymore. And I decided like I'm gonna put that away and now I'm going to lift weights and I'm going to play football and I'm going to get strong and I'm going to be a man and
Mm,
I'm going to be stoic and I'm never going to talk about feelings because that's a weakness. And I think to your point, like hopefully things are changing where we're integrating our feminine and our masculine together, and sometimes obviously we want to be strong. Sometimes, we're in battle and we want to, we don't want someone to know we're hurt, but that doesn't work well at all in relationships, not
yeah.
telling people we're hurt. And I'm the same way with you. I'll be on a call with someone or a meeting with someone and they'll cry and they'll apologize, especially men. Like, I'm so sorry, I'm getting so emotional. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like,
Mm,
that's a gift. That's a gift to me, and you're giving yourself the gift. Never apologize for
yeah.
crying. It's just, it means we care. It means we love. It means we're passionate. And so why would we apologize for that? And I think hopefully workplaces are changing where people can be passionate and express themselves. Um, but I mean, we have a lot of years to overcome where it's like you said, like what's wrong with that person versus, wow,
They better go
that's
home. They're making everybody uncomfortable.
yeah. Versus the different part being, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like you have
Yeah,
access
like
to that.
I honor their emotion. You know what's weird, not I guess not weird, what's true for me is when you were talking about how in your core you knew you were emotional and you're deep and you let your emotions out and you write. And then when you said that you started to switch that because you better be stoic and turn into this man, I got emotional
Mhm.
thinking about how sad that is and how beautiful it was for you to embrace that, and then how like the noise on the outside made you feel like that wasn't good enough. Like I literally
Well,
teared up when you said that. That hit me. How did you come back from that? Like when did you realize, wait a minute, this isn't me, like I need to embrace who I actually am?
I mean, I think it took a lot of, personal work and obviously my wife was a big part of that. Like when we got engaged, she had a boss that said who was going through a divorce and said, hey, the best gift I think you could do is work on your communication as a couple. And so my wife came home and was like, hey, let's go see this life coach, and I was like, no fucking way. Like I was totally like, I mean, think about like me, like, I'm 24, I'm on the top of my game, and my wife, my fiance, I guess, is saying, let's go see a therapist. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I was like, I literally thought like she had like there's some skeletons or secrets and she didn't need to
Oh
release
shit.
them.
So now you're paranoid that she's gonna bring you to this therapist's office and like spill something.
Totally. Like I just didn't know what was going on. And then so that was the beginning, me being very skeptical. And I was like this, sitting in that office,
Oh, that's
really
resistance.
close.
That's like, don't touch me.
I mean, you can't do anything. And I mean, granted, and Dr. Bob Wright is who I wrote Life of Sales with. So he kind of comments on my journey. But I mean, he talks about that, like, I was just so close. But, I think he kind of understood, he's like, okay, you're the oldest boy. This is probably how you're like, and this, and he told me things about myself I'm like, how can you say that? You don't know me at all. You've not
Yeah.
even met me. And how can you kind of read me, that way? So it started a process, and my wife led it, so I give her all the credit. Like she went into, a group and started doing her work, and then I watched her change. I saw her become more alive. I saw her become more confident. I saw her become more expressive. And I reactively and defensively decided this train is leaving the station. And if I don't get on board, I'm out.
Mm.
So, I mean, initially was doing it so I could stay in the relationship. I thought I wasn't even doing it for myself. And then over time, it became more for myself and more for me that I could be more me and I could reintegrate those parts of me that I put away because I thought they were bad. That's weak. Let's put it away. But over time, I realized without that, how can I be creative? How can I problem solve? How can I connect with someone fully if I'm only being half of me? And maybe that means I shed a tear. Maybe that means I'm watching a commercial and I start crying because I mean, now I can watch movies. I mean, and my kids are always like, really, Dad? And I'm like, yeah, but I just feel things deeply. Yeah, I don't know if you probably relate to this. Like, just like if you open up, you can feel life so deeply.
Yeah.
I mean, all the time. Like
I
there's
can
so
feel
much
your
beauty.
part in this conversation and it's affecting my emotions because I can feel your passion. I can feel your emotion.
Yeah.
You
So
know what's
I mean, I
interesting
feel
though
I
is
was
like,
lucky.
oh, I was just
No, I
gonna
was gonna say
say,
I feel I was lucky to meet my wife, and then think about that. Then I had two daughters,
right?
and it was
Like
just a
you got no
beautiful
choice but
gift.
to start embracing those
No,
emotions.
totally, it was a total gift, and part of that was I wanted my daughters to see. I didn't want them to see a robot with armor. Like I had armor. I still have armor, but I can open it up more than I used to. But, I was armored up. Like you can't get to me. And do I want to be that way for my daughters? So I had to start like telling them like I'm afraid. And they're like, Dad, you're afraid? I didn't think you were afraid of anything, Dad. I'm like, of course I'm afraid. And I get hurt. I get my feelings hurt all the time. And so
Yeah.
they could start normalizing those feelings and then hopefully pick a man, who has all those feelings and has access to them.
Yeah. You're the role model for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it was a journey, and I cry all the time now, but it's all good.
I hate how like if I'm crying, because some like we talked about, crying can be blissful. It's a
Yes.
release and then it feels really, really good. But if someone sees like crying and the tears, they think something is terribly wrong and I don't like the way people approach me when I'm in that
Sometimes like, are you
state. You know,
okay?
if
Are
I'm
you
in public,
okay?
people are like, "Oh my God, what's wrong? What's going on?" And I'm like, "I'm good. Like, I'm good. Just let it come because it makes people make me feel like I should be hiding it." It's like I said, it makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah. And hopefully, I think we're getting more and more. I mean, I've obviously, even with November and I shaved my beard, I'm growing it back, but I'm trying, and some of the work I do with men, like trying to normalize like it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it's more, actually, it's more than okay. I shouldn't even say that, right? It's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when you become a father and a husband, you know, it's important, like we were just talking about, for children to see, like, I'm not a machine, I'm not a robot, I have feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's normal. It's a part of life. Because I think, not to go off on too much of a tangent, but I think nowadays we talked about this, I think maybe last time, like now it's like, oh, you're anxious, so here, take a pill
Mm-hmm.
versus you're anxious, and how do you deal with that? You take a breath, and is it a real fear or an imagined fear? And is there something you need to do? Are you in danger? To actually assess and be able to deal with life, because life isn't easy, right? We choose to, how we're going to react to life. That's what we can do, but we can't always control what comes at us. But we can choose our reaction and how we dig in. And my choice is that I trust in the world. I trust in people. And I know I'm going to get hurt, but that's okay. I'm a big boy now and I can take care of myself, but I'm still going to trust people. And that's just my choice. And that's how I choose to live life.
So, bringing it back to the new year, if someone listening right now wants to start building some successful habits, where do you think they should start?
I always think you need to start with awareness, right? So, I mean, we've been talking a lot about, review your last year, create some awareness around things that work, you like and you like more of, and things you don't like and you like less of. And then just start creating some awareness, right, around it. And I always think, tell people awareness of feelings is super important because it helps you to understand what you like and what you don't like. So to
Mm-hmm.
become more aware of when you're afraid, when you're hurt, when you get angry, just become a little more aware of those things. Doesn't mean you have to do anything. Like that's what I try to tell people. You don't have to do anything different, but open up a little bit more just to notice, like, oh, that's interesting. Like, watch yourself a little bit, right? Like, what literally, like, as if you're up here looking down and watching yourself, like, oh, isn't that interesting? Like, what that person said that really hurt my feelings. Now, you don't have to tell them that. I mean, you
Right,
can, but you have a choice then to be like, do I want to do anything? And maybe you don't.
right,
But point is, if you don't watch yourself and see how you react to things, and like, wow, I was anxious, I was scared. I mean, but we're scared all the time. And I try to tell, like, people always say yes or no. Like, you ask someone, are you afraid? They'll be like, no, I'm not afraid. Why would I be afraid? That's a lie.
yeah.
I mean, fear is a 1 to 10. There's no zero.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if someone asks you, are you afraid? You'd be like, of course I'm afraid, but I mean, maybe I'm afraid at 1 right now. I'm feeling very calm. I'm not at 10. I'm not at 9. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, there's always, like, the lie is there's not like this tornado going on inside of us all the time.
Yeah,
And
it's
we
true.
choose,
Everybody has
we,
it. If one
yeah,
person there, yeah, everybody
but
has
it's
it.
a lie. Like, no, 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 no. But it's more like you still get to choose how you want to be. But can we be more aware of, I mean, because that's where I think life is
Mm-hmm.
in the tornado. Like, oh, I got my feelings hurt. That's interesting. Oh, I'm afraid. Oh, gosh, I'm angry right now. Oh, I'm sad. Oh, I'm happy. I'm feeling bliss. And just noticing and being like, wow, life is amazing. But
Mm-hmm.
if I decide to shut it all down, life becomes a little more boring. And I think, I chose for it to be boring for a period of time in my life, no question.
Yeah. Oh my God, there was a time in my life when I was like wishing the time to go fast so I could go to bed again. And like I didn't enjoy any part of my day. And it was just like terrible. It was like Groundhog Day. I was on autopilot, worried about the future, thinking about the past, and just wanted to sleep my life away.
No, my friend Scott called me Eeyore. Like he's like, you're doom and gloom. Like you're so doom and gloom. Like everything's like Eeyore. Like it looks like rain. Like
Oh my
hey,
God,
he
I
used to
can't picture
literally
you
call
like
me
that.
that. No, he used to. I mean, I used to be like just very serious with my career. Like I had a goal, and it's just like I'm gonna get promoted. This is gonna like I had this plan, but the plan didn't include having fun. It didn't include being emotional. It just was like a goal, right? So I would sacrifice relationship because I was going for this goal,
Mm,
right? And so that, then you get in a relationship and, with my wife and stuff, and it's just like, this isn't work. Like she would want to talk about something, and I'd be like, no. I mean, my
mm,
parents divorced, so I thought any conflict leads to divorce, so we can't have conflict, so we can't talk about this, so I'm going to bed.
right.
And that, I mean, and that's like almost like childlike thinking, but that's like the way I grew up and what I believe. So I had to change my beliefs. Like, wait, if we're not fighting for things, like there can be a win-win. It's not an either or. It's a both and. We can both fight for what we want and have a great outcome. But if we're avoiding the fights all the time, I mean, we're not going to be together.
It sounds to me like you had to heal your inner child.
Exactly. No, there was no question. I had to kind of learn to bring that child along with me versus keeping him over here, in the dark and not letting him come out ever.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this conversation has been so impactful and so amazing. Can you tell everybody a little bit more about what you do?
Sure. I mean, I have my own company and I sold it, and since then I've been doing advisory board work. So I'm on a lot of advisory boards in the e-commerce space. I lead leadership groups that include men and women, a lot of entrepreneurs, and we kind of focus on what we're talking about, social emotional intelligence and being transformational leaders. I have in 2 weeks actually, I'm leading a leadership, week down here in Mexico actually for
Mm,
men and women, which is awesome. And we'll do a Temescal. That's part of what we're going to do on the leadership week.
nice.
So, and then I'm writing a second book. And so you can find me at richlions.com or lifeissales.com. And it's been great being with you, Lisa. I appreciate you. And thanks for being on the journey with me.
Yeah, it's been so much fun. Before we go, I'm curious to know your opinion on where leadership is switching to. And I mean, I see conscious leadership trending right now. Is that what you see too? What do you predict 2026 is going to bring?
I mean, if it's up to me, and that's what I'm trying to do, is absolutely more conscious leadership. And I think that does have to do with being more aware and
Hmm.
and doing that social emotional intelligence work so you know what's going on in here so you can be a leader out here. And the book I'm writing now is about culture, and which I think is so critical for leaders. But the point I'm making, it's going to be a different book about culture. It's going to be about how culture starts internally and all the things we just talked about. Like I had to turn myself inside out before I could create a culture out here. I couldn't just write words on a page and do a website like, here's what our culture is. I had to live it and I had to feel it and I had to kind of be it before I could create the culture. Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, like, they say what they want the culture to be, but then they're in scarcity,
Yeah,
and so they're creating a scarcity based culture because of the way they're acting. You can say whatever you want to say, but how are you acting and are you living it? So
integrity.
I do exactly. So I do think maybe we say that, maybe you can coin that phrase, like integrity based leadership. Like I do think, you know, people are becoming more aware, they're thinking more about integrity and that they need to be the example, not just say it. Like, it's not like, do what I say, not what I do. No, you kind of got to do it and live it. And I see more leaders like that, like authentic leadership, right? And, and I think that's transformational. It transforms cultures, it transforms businesses. And I love it. I pray that that's what happens this year.
Yeah, well, I hope there's more leaders like you out there because you're just amazing. Thank you so much for this amazing conversation. I look forward to our next one.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great being with you always.
Yes, for sure. And to our audience, feel your feelings. Think about your goals. Go into a really, really hot space with hot rocks and think about the elements and see how your life will change. Tap into the different things. Try something new. 2026 is here and the possibilities are endless. Until next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.